do I want to work with that developer? This is actually the last question every interviewer is gonna ask.
All right, so welcome back to another podcast where we help aspiring developers get jobs and junior developers grow. Here I have with me Neha. Really excited to have her here. So thanks for coming. I've actually been keeping up with a lot of what you've been doing, and you've been doing a lot of great things in India. You've started and successfully have facilitated really large meetups with thousands of members helping developers grow. I'm incredibly impressed, and I think that's just amazing what you're doing. So, if I do believe you have kind of opened up some of your meetings to people online due to COVID-19, which is very generous of you. So I'll actually put it in the notes, but just go ahead and look up JSLovers on Meetup, and you can go ahead and find her there. Join her Meetup. I think what she's doing is amazing, and she could be a lot of help to you if you're growing as a developer. So I want to give the floor to you to kind of introduce yourself and get a little bit of a background with your what you're doing with development. But yeah.
Thank you, Don, for the nice introduction and having me. Uh, for me, I have 10 years of experience and I started my career as a web developer. So I have the background of designing, web designing and development. After being a mid-level or senior level of developer, then I decided to start a community. I didn't know about Meetup at that time, uh, but that was the time when I just think of sharing the knowledge, and somehow this idea came. So it's been now 5 years. I'm running JSLovers in India, and we have JSLovers in 4 to 5 cities, different 4 to 5 cities right now in Delhi, Mumbai, Pune, Jaipur, and Bangalore. Apart from that, now I have like 10 years of experience and I'm working as a UI manager. My focus is majorly on the front end. And yep, this is about me. And yes, as you mentioned, because of COVID-19, I started opening my slots so that I can help, and whatever is going right now in the world, we can have a break from that and we can do a chit chat. So yep, that's what I started.
And that definitely sounds amazing right about now too. Well, let's dive into that. Again, I'm fascinated with what you've done with the meetup. You obviously are very impactful in India. You should be really proud of yourself. I hope you are, because you like just even seeing some of the comments and the feedback that people are posting about your meetup. Like I wish more developers would do what you're doing. So, but I really, on my end, I started a meetup in Chicago to pretty much do the same thing, help developers
Hmm.
grow in Chicago. And so I kind of want to pick your brain a little bit, what it's like doing this meetup, some of the challenges that you might have faced, and, maybe even like where your meetup started and where you realized it had to end up and become. So I want to pick your brain about this. You ready?
Yep, sure. So when I started, actually, as I mentioned, I didn't even knew that this is Meetup. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to, share the knowledge, and the reason was simple. I was a senior developer, and people were not helping each other because at workplace it is more of a competition. And I was like, no, I don't. I'm not that kind of person who want to be a competitive. I want to really, help everyone. So at that time, me and my senior, we were just one day after office, we were just chit chatting and we were just discussing about the issues every developer is having, that people are stuck in the issues, but they are they are not up to asking help, and they are working in their own way. No one is there to tell them what is right, what is wrong, what is going in industry.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, what do you think, should we start sharing knowledge? My friend was like, how we can do it? So I knew about meetup.com from somewhere. So I was like, oh, I know something, let's try. And that's how we started. To be honest, at that time, we both were like, we will just do only 3 meetups and it will end. The reason
Oh.
was, the reason was, first of all, in India, no one knows about meetup. For them, if we were doing knowledge sharing, we were doing sessions, for them, it was like, there is something, they are trying to, doing this so that in return they can get something out of us. So they used to think that we are a startup. or we are a product. At the end of the session, we are going to push them and sell something, and that what we that we were not doing. And we used to pay from that's the most challenging thing actually. At that time there was no co-working space in India. At
Oh.
least in Delhi there was no co-working space, so getting a venue was very tough. Companies were not ready to talk to me because we were no one. We were not backed with the big brand names, so no one used to talk to me. And then I actually struggled for a month to get a place. Then we got a cafe. I used to pay from my pocket for that venue. I used to pay from my pocket for the food, and then we used to do it. But the good part is, in our first meetup we got like 40 to 50 people.
Wow.
And then slowly I started gaining confidence that yes, there are people. And our confidence gained when people used to come back and they used to tell me that, the session you did at that time, we got the job because of that, or you did that session, because of that we were able to finish our college project. And the biggest achievement was we did a session or meetup on Chrome extension, and there were few attendees. They went back, they published their Chrome extension, and on Chrome Play Store they got like lot of downloads. So that person actually mailed me with every analytics and everything, and I was like, what? For me and my partner, basically meetup partner, for us it was like a shock that we didn't thought of it that it is going to be so big.
Yeah.
And yep, yeah, so yep, there were people who were just coming for free food or something. But my focus was, I was just only focusing on people who are very much into learning, and they were getting advantage out of it. So after a year, I guess, then Microsoft came to us, and I'm very thankful to them. They were the first company which came to us. They helped me to get the venue in the Microsoft. They started sponsoring us for a year. Me and my co-organizer, we were the only speakers on the Meetup platform. No one used to come forward. And after a year when Microsoft sponsored us, after that everything got changed. So every company wanted to help us, every company wanted to come forward, and every person wants to, tell the whole world that, oh, JSLovers, yes, yes, we used to go and attend their meetups. So I actually, at that moment, I felt that my 1 year of struggle was worth, with terms of, putting my weekends and putting my money on the venues and the food. So, yep.
Yeah, that's interesting that you said, like, especially in the beginning, you had to invest your own money and you had to kind of take a chance on some random cafe. I feel like that's how a lot of meetups start. And I don't even think members realize, like, Meetup charges for us to do this
Right.
past a certain number of members, and like venues cost and pizza costs or whatever food that you want to bring in. Like, it takes a lot of time and money to kind of get something like this started, and try to accelerate it. So I'm glad I'm glad it paid off. I'm completely glad it paid off for you.
Yeah, so a lot of people used to come to me and they used to say that, what is your vision, what you are thinking to,
Mm-hmm.
now you have a community, you have developers. And I always used to tell them, see, I am a developer, my full time job is Monday to Fridays.
Mm-hmm.
In office I have to code and deliver. This is my passion. I love meeting new people, I love to do knowledge sharing. So if you are going to ask me my vision for this, I don't have. And my second struggle with Meetup was, I used to joke about this a lot, that I thought that I'm going to run a tech meetup, but it it was not true, because first I have to create awareness of what is Meetup, etiquettes around meetups, because people used to RSVP, but then people are not coming. Uh, so there were like a lot of such etiquettes were missing. So my first job became that whenever I'm kicking off a meetup, I used to, first tell them that what is Meetup,
Mm-hmm.
why it is important that if you are doing RSVP and you are not coming, you need to inform the organizer. Please give your feedback after your session, because this is the only motivating thing for me to keep this meetup going on. But I'm glad now the situation is totally different now in India. A lot of meetup groups, a lot of speakers, a lot of co-working spaces. So any person now can open their meetup and they will not face all this trouble and challenges which I faced at that time.
I'm glad. Yeah, I'm really glad you have all the support that you have, and even just having one of your first companies to support you is Microsoft. That's amazing. That really says a lot about what you turned the meetup into. But out of all that, the most important thing I can relate to is the number of people that RSVP and don't show up. It blew me
Yes.
away because I like you. I'm passionate. I'm excited. I would actually look at the names that were coming in. I was so excited to meet all of them, and like maybe half of them would show up, and I was like, oh no. But yeah, that's it's honestly fun to hear your experience with this because I really don't talk to a lot of other meetup organizers, so that's cool to
Oh.
hear.
So what I started doing is, first of all, my meetup is not used to open for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So we used to have only limited spaces. And RSVP, I never used to look at RSVP. People need to register. They need to fill a form, and then I will send them the invitation. So if I doesn't know you, I will give you a chance. Okay, you are the first time person attendee, so please come. If you are not coming, you are not informing. I know who you are by your email ID and by your name, and I'm also asking your LinkedIn profile, so I know very well that who you are.
Yeah.
And after that, I will just keep an eye. If you are repeating this again and again, then I'm sorry.
Right. Right. Of course. But thinking back to like the first meetup that you had, the cafe, um, because I remember my first meetup very clearly, and it was slightly awkward too for me. But I learned from it. But I want to hear about your first meetup. Like, what was it? What did you guys do at the cafe? Like the very first time.
It was very scary and very awkward, because now what I am is, I'm very totally different person of what I was 5 years ago. I was not vocal. I used to have stage fear. I was not confident. So I was just going with the flow, and I decided, okay, we are going to do meetup. Only me and my co-organizer was there, and I never attended any meetup. So I was having no clue. But what I planned was that I am going to do accordingly what basically, as a developer, what I'm expecting at a meetup. So my vision was this. So what we did was, we did a JavaScript code lab for the basics, for the beginners, sorry. And I still remember that when I was just standing in front of all the developers around, there were 40 developers, and I was like, shit, I didn't even did the dry run for the introduction. What I have to say, I don't even have the PPT for it. Then in the within 5 minutes, I just make a PPT and connected my laptop, and I was not even having a script that what I'm going to tell them. And but the good thing was, the people who were there, few people were very good. So they knew that we are also developer, we are doing it first time. So they also starting cross questioning. Okay, what is Meetup? Okay, why you are doing it? And yeah, so the first meetup was very awkward. Not even first, but first three meetups were very awkward, because it was like understanding that how to be a person, how to present a meetup, how to present a community, how to build that relationship with the developers who are coming. Because right now, after 5 years, my most of the networks and my most of the close friends are only from meetup. So that building relationship, that I learned in those three meetups. There were few feedbacks I also got at that time, and I'm very glad I got those feedback very early in the my this meetup journey, because I was able to work on them, and I was able to improve myself accordingly.
So it definitely sounds like it was a progressive. It was very progressive in what your meetup turned into. Because I can relate
Yes.
to you being nervous and just going with the flow. You just like eventually you have to just put one foot in front of the other and just start something. And
Right. So I never planned anything. It was just like once in a okay. So initially I was very ambitious. I was planning like every weekend I'm going to do a meetup, and actually that failed me very badly. Not failed me as a organizer or something, but it was very hectic for me, because I was having a full time job, and then every weekend preparing for the meetup was very hard. So I learned that within my first three meetups, and I was like, okay, then one meetup once in a month will be enough, and that I'm still following.
I like that. I think I'm actually going to switch to that because I was doing it once every 2 weeks. I like that
Okay.
once a month. I really do. You know what I'm curious about is like the people that are coming in to your meetup, right? A lot of
Hmm.
them are probably newer developers and junior developers trying to grow. But what do they actually come in for? Like, what do you think they find the most value in? What kind of questions do they ask?
So they are. Uh, it took me a lot of time to build the audience of JS lovers, because every meetup has their own focus audience. For
Mm-hmm.
me, when I started, this is also one of the learning I learned when within 1 year. So when I started JS lovers, a lot of startup people were coming because they used to think that this is a perfect platform to pitch their product. A lot of hiring people used to come because they used to think this is a perfect platform to hire people. And developers, senior developers or mid-level developers are coming for, obviously, that is a tech meetup they wanted to learn. And then the college kids used to come because they were like, let's have an experience of hanging out with the experienced industry people, and in parallel try to pitch for an internship or job. My meetup problem was that, being a developer, uh, I know that if the student is coming, this meetup is not going to help, because the kind of coding and the kind of topics we are doing, they might not help them. For hiring, we were big no, because in past I have seen the HRs are coming or the recruiter people are coming, and in between the meetup they are disturbing the developers, and they are trying to have a conversation and disturb the whole meetup.
Mm-hmm.
So it took me a while to make people understand that this is not a platform to pitch your product. This is not a platform to hire people. This is not a place where you can get the internship. So this is focused only on developers to come, learn, and code with us. So initially we used to have like code labs, and in those code labs we used to pick any topic, and we used to do the live coding. And at the end of the meetup they used to have a working prototype of something out of it. So developers started looking at JS lovers that industry people are standing there and talking and speaking and doing the coding from their industry experience, rather than the people who are just they never worked in the industry, and they are just looking at the documentation and coming and talking. So even if we were picking any new programming languages, we used to tell them that as a JS JavaScript developer, my experience switching to this was this,
Mm-hmm.
and this was this much time I took to learn this. So those developers were able to relate to me. So what I found is that the people who are coming to JS lovers, they know that if they are coming, they are going to learn something, code basically hands on, and they are going to learn from the industry people. So it become a hangout place for all the industry developers coming together, talking tech, discussing tech, and so on. So this is what they used to come for JS lovers.
Okay, so it sounds like you had also a lot of mid-level developers coming in. Um,
Right.
that's interesting. Do you feel like do you feel like a lot of them, so for my experience, when I would have mid-level to senior level developers come in, they would want to mentor. Like, so my meetup is very mentorship focused, and we basically have, people in the industry just go around and help developers as needed. uh, but a lot of mid-level to senior, they were looking to kind of give back and help you.
Okay. Okay.
uh, did you experience a lot of mid-level developers looking for that out of the meetup, or did they mainly come to just learn?
So mentorship thing concept is not widely people understand in India.
Okay.
For them, mostly when the people are coming, like mid level to senior level, senior folks are coming because they are now senior, and they are playing the role of architect, and a lot of new things are coming in the industry. But because of their job, where they have to spend a lot of time in management, team management, so they look at JS lovers meetup a chance where they can pick our brains to understand, okay, this what are the pros and cons of this particular technology. If I am going to use this technology, how much resources I have to use, what would be the uh, path of team going to learn, how much time it is going to take. For the mid-level people, it is more about, they used to look at the speakers as the mentor, that can you please just help me, if we are going to pick Angular 9 now, then how much time it is going to take for migration, do you have any experience in that, would it be right time to move to Angular 9 or not. So they used to directly come to the speakers or the organizer to ask questions. I actually, why I'm saying about mentorship is because I was also looking for myself a mentor, and I saw that no one think in that perspective,
Mm-hmm.
that there could be a mentor who can help you out. So yeah, this concept is not there. But the good thing is, in 5 years, I have seen now the developers opened up. Initially, people were very shy to ask question, come forward, but now they are very open, so they will come forward.
That's good. That's really good. It sounds like, I mean, your meetup is fully capable of helping all the way from junior to senior level developers, and that's fantastic. That's hard to do.
Yep.
That's really cool.
Yep. Thank you. Yes, that's now when I'm talking to you, I'm also realizing that from where I have started and where I have reached.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sometimes it just helps to hear that, even from someone else. But you know, so my focus really is helping junior developers and aspiring
Hmm.
developers, and we get a lot of those at my meetup. Now, I've kind of noticed some patterns from people coming in, and a lot of common questions and a lot of common struggles. But I kind of want to hear your perspective on that. Like, so when junior and aspiring developers come in, where are they struggling? Like, what bad habits are they even bringing in, if that's what you want to call it? Where that's where you're spending most of the time trying to hone in and help them improve on. Like, what are some common things a lot of junior developers bring to the meetup?
Uh, there are few actually. The first thing is the problem with junior developers, basically the people who are just passing out colleges. With every semester, their choice of programming language keep changing. So they are not focusing on one thing. And I keep telling them that it's totally fine if you are trying to learn any language to pass your semester. It's totally fine, there is no guilt over that. But once you reach to your final semester, at that point you should be able to take the decision that where you want to go. That lot of people are missing, lot of. So they always ask me, so should I pick Python or should I pick JavaScript? And I'm like, I don't know. It's you who has to decide, because you are the one who will be, doing coding, giving interviews. Where is your interest? You need to sort that out. And second problem is social media distraction. So if someone is saying, like on my meetup, I used to say that in India a lot of developers were not on Twitter initially, they were only on Facebook. So I used to, always used to shout on my meetup that please be on Twitter, please follow the developers, please follow the community people, Twitter is the place to be. And then after a few years I saw that now everyone is on Twitter, and now that become a social distraction for them. So if someone is saying React is the popular go-to career, then they will like, okay, I should go for React. And I'm like, it's now, after 4 years you will be out of your college. I don't know after 4 years where the React would be. So this is the second problem, the social distraction. They don't put their energy into right place. They should, first they need to decide which language, what is their area of interest.
Mm-hmm.
It's backend, front end, mobile, or might be not programming, might be, could be IoT. So that thing is missing. Second pattern is social distraction. They put a lot of efforts in making their Twitter followers, and I keep telling them, do not look into followers, just keep looking into good content. And just because everyone is having a blog, podcast, everything, you don't need to. To you are just starting your career. And the third thing is, what I have seen is that they don't know how to get the job. And I can relate with that, because when I pass out my college, I also didn't knew that how to make a resume, how to give the interviews. So I keep telling them that why don't you try giving mock interviews to, you have a friend circle, just give
Yeah.
mock interviews to each other. If you are coming to the meetup, you can just, say hi hello to any senior developer and just ask them that can they review your resume, can they help you in some questions and all. So these are the patterns I have seen with the aspiring developers. But having said that, I have seen few good developers who are very focused. They know the moment their college is gonna pass, they have their GitHub profile ready, they have their LinkedIn profile ready, and they have their CV also ready. So, which is the most awesome thing I have seen.
That yeah, that is kind of rare that everyone is all around prepared like that. What you know, I didn't even think of so some of the problems that you're introducing. Like, I I struggle to. So some people just have all that prepared, and
Hmm.
they are doing a lot of cold applications where they're still coding, they're still learning, but they're in a good spot to get a position, and you can tell from the work that they're doing. And so I struggle with convincing people to push out content, to write a LinkedIn
Okay.
blog post, and just talk about how the project went. Like the problem that you had to solve, the value that it provided for others, just a little bit of insight into you as a developer tackling a problem, or doing a podcast or writing a blog post or creating a YouTube video. Um, I usually do that with people that are on the later end of their learning and they're really ready to get a job. It's to increase their exposure. So
Hmm.
it's interesting that you had more people focused on that because I have a hard time getting people to even write anything or record anything. I wonder if that, at least in the United States, that's what I found. People don't want to be visible at all, and they stay off of social media.
So the good thing here is people want to get visible. They are very they were very happy to do that. They would be having that their blog, their website. But talking about the people who already having their GitHub and all, this is as a senior person, like a manager. I'm telling you, I keep getting a lot of resume. So I know that Udemy is there and other platforms are there. And when you are learning a language, they are making up project. So like Instagram clone or something like this. What I have seen the common practices, they always have these project as in their GitHub. Now, the question comes when the hiring team sit, when the engineering team sit, that we cannot trust if this is the code that person has written, or while following the Udemy, they have just copy pasted the code.
Right.
So the creativity of creating a new project when you learn something is missing. So I have seen people, they have very good GitHub, but when we are taking their interview at that time, we realize, okay, the whole GitHub was basically the clone of some other repos, or they just copy pasted. So I keep telling them that once you are done with any tutorial, try to now create something else, so that when someone is reviewing your code, people can trust your code. For blogs and everything, they are very I have never seen anyone who would be like that, no, I don't want to do blogging, or I don't want
Hmm.
to do podcast. In fact, I met a lot of people who are very creative in this field. And I actually felt that at a moment, I remember that there was a person who shared his podcast idea, and that was very, very marvelous. And I was very excited for that, and I was like,
Hmm.
okay, when you are planning to do it, I really wanted to be part of that, and if you need my help. So yeah, people here are very much into these things.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I wish I could instill some of that, but I do get like at first stop focusing on that, stop focusing on the distractions, just put your head down, learn, and do the
Right.
work. And I completely get that, and I agree with that. So I this is really interesting because you are actually answering questions that I get at my meetup, and it's really interesting hearing your perspective. So I got a couple questions, like common
Hmm.
ones, I'm going to throw at you. One of the first one is, uh, as a new developer, how do
Hmm.
I figure out what kind of project to build? And that's a major question. Like they just get stuck. They're learning, but they don't really know what to build to put on their portfolio. What kind of advice would you give
Okay.
to someone like that?
So I always tell them that do not try to impress anyone. First, try to create whatever you know right now, and then it could be a website, a basic, very basic website, and then slowly, as you are moving ahead, you can start adding new features. The reason why I keep saying this, why I always advise this, sorry, because then when they are sitting in the interview, they can show the company, the person who is taking interview, their progression. that I started with this thing, and then slowly, when I started, my learnings were increasing, I reached to this level. So that kind of journey, if they would be able to showcase from their project, that would be good. The first thing is to obviously to have your own website, your own blog, rather than having it on Gatsby, WordPress, or Blogspot like that. That would be the amazing thing. Second project, I always tell them to play around with responsive, understand mobiles and everything, to make a fun app. Any
Mm-hmm.
app could work. So it could be, guess a movie name, or guess a picture name, or something like this. The reason, because when you are sitting in the interview, I'm talking with perspective of how a person who is having such kind of project, when they are sitting in front of interviewer, how they can handle that situation. So when they are just showcasing their resume and project in front of the person, they can tell them that you can go right away on your mobile and type this website, and this is what I have created. So that would be a more fun kind of conversation, where the person can also look into, can have a more discussion based on that application.
So you really encourage people to have fun with the projects that they're building. Don't overthink it. Don't try to build
Right.
for someone else. Just do what you're learning. Like build something fun, and have it incorporate what you're learning at the time. Uh,
Exactly. So I remember there was someone who actually took a challenge that every day I'm gonna build something on website. So there is a dedicated website where that lady actually showed for 30 days. I think she did this. Every day she actually built a website with whatever she knows. So she has like 30 website. Every day she was shipping it out, and that in itself become a huge case study for everyone. So something like that. This is what I feel, that instead of going through what others are doing,
mm-hmm,
it would be best to go through what you know, and
mm-hmm.
have your own unique path through which you can show your learning journey also, and you will also feel proud that you actually did something unique.
Yeah, yeah. That's fantastic advice. So, and you, a couple things. You mentioned when you do host your websites, when you do,
Hmm.
especially when you host your content, like your blog, your uh, let's just focus on the blog. You had mentioned
Hmm.
don't host it on WordPress, host it on your own site, which I'm thinking you meant your own domain, your own server.
Right.
Why is that?
The reason is, if so, hosting your website means, if you don't have your own domain, it's fine, because you are students, you can't, might be you're not having that much financial, so which is fine. But at least you can deploy it on Netlify. So
Mm-hmm.
the reason is that, then when, if I am hiring and I am having interview, I can understand that this person actually built everything from scratch, and then took that whole code and deployed it on some server, which actually speaks about the dedication. With WordPress and all, it is all about just following the instruction. And I always believe that, to finish a side project, the last 20% is the most hardest. So if a person is able to push their whole side project or website or blog to a Netlify or some server, it means that person is having a good dedication.
I didn't even think of that. I really like that. I do think deployment is something that you're like any developer is going to touch eventually. That's a good point. I was coming at it with the thought of maybe to be able to control that SEO value and be able to have more control in how you market that. But it's true. Like a lot of developers avoid deployment. They avoid, especially if they're
Exactly.
front end, they're scared of back end or they're scared of deployment.
So few, when if someone is coming to me as an aspiring developer and showing
Mm-hmm.
me the Netlify or anywhere's AWS has all deployed website their project. So for me, one of the question would be why you decided Netlify. So I would love to hear that, is that person did a research
Mm-hmm.
before moving the whole code to Netlify or not. And probably I would be asking, okay, Netlify is cloud based, so what are your thoughts on cloud? So these small things is automatically keeping that fresher, apart from keeping it apart from the rest of the crowd, because rest of the crowd didn't even thought of deploying their projects on somewhere. But
Mm-hmm.
the person who actually thought and did that, obviously, a lot of brownie points.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. Uh, so, I have another question. Just kind of popped up in
Hmm.
my head right now. For someone that you had mentioned, a computer science degree is an option, or some sort of degree is an option. There are also boot camps, but there's also a lot of self-taught because I think a lot of people aren't in the financial position to go to boot camp or get a college degree. So a lot of people are trying to teach themselves, which is one of the amazing things about this profession is if you have the good habits, you can do that and you can get a position.
Right.
Um, so for people that are trying to teach themselves and they're trying to learn, there's so much online. Like there's so many different avenues they can go down. And at the end of the day, I remember when I was trying to teach myself for about a year and a half before I went to boot camp, I didn't have any goals. I didn't have any benchmarks. I didn't know what my goals should be to get a position. And so I had, dozens of resources in front of me. I was lost. It was just really confusing and overwhelming. So for someone that is going the self-taught route and they ask you how should I go about learning development? Where should I learn? What kind of advice would you give them?
So this is one of the most asked questions. So I keep doing over the weekend one-on-one, not one-on-one, basically open discussion about technologies, and I also did in my past one-on-one with many developers. So a lot of people, not just the aspiring developers, even the experienced developers are confused. Like if I talk about myself, there was a time when I was having the subscription of every possible, course,
Mm-hmm.
websites, tutorial website. And one day I actually thought that what I'm doing, I'm not able to finish anything. So I remember when I started my career, at that time, there was no such so many social distractions. So there were only one or two websites, so I was able to focus. This time, the thing which I implemented on the trick I implemented on myself, the same thing I tell everyone, that first try to understand what kind of person you are, basically what kind of student you are. You are more of like you would prefer to learn through book and content, or you are a more of person who would like to learn through videos. So first try to identify that. Like I'm more kind of bookish person. I need my notes, books handy, and I would love to make notes out of that. Once you are done with that, then go, like I try to have a mix of both now because technology keep changing, books are outdated. So what I do is now I have a mixture. Before purchasing any course, first I go on YouTube. I try to look into the beginners videos. I try to understand and try to code if I am able to pick that or not. Unless and until I'm not comfortable with that, I don't purchase any course. Once I'm done with that small POC and I'm able to understand. And the good thing is on YouTube, a lot of free and good content is available.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't advise anyone that this YouTube channel is good or that YouTube channel is good, because I feel that every person has their own way of learning. They have their own prefer way of grasping the knowledge from the person who is teaching. So I always tell them that you need to go and explore by yourself. Once that is done, then I decide that okay, let me buy Udemy course or let me go to some other website. But I very strictly for myself and for other also just stick to one thing. Do not being so tempted that okay, let me buy this also because on that particular site a discount is going on, let me grab that also. Don't do that. So this is my funda, that first understand you are a book person or you are a
Mm-hmm.
video person, then go explore on YouTube if you are able to understand that or not. Once you are done with that, you have built some basic thing, then go and just buy one book or one course and try to finish that. That's it.
I like that narrow focus because I think it's a trap a lot of people get in is they have three different courses they're trying to finish and they're trying to build three different apps and I mean it can get really confusing. I also thought it was interesting that you didn't recommend any specific YouTube channels. I almost like the idea of getting them to explore. First of all, they need to start learning how to look things up. All right, like Google's going to be their best friend as a developer, anyways. So just really trying to explore and figure out like what's out there. I think that's really good advice. Probably something I'm.
And Also, what why the one of the reason why I also don't tell or recommend any YouTube channel is because India is a very big country, and the people who are coming me, English might be not their native language. Basically, Indian English is not anyone's native language, so they have their own regional language.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel that if someone is not comfortable in having the content in English, so if same tutorial is available in their native language, that would be the awesome thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why that's the another thing which I always try to explain other people, that you need to go by yourself and explore and try to understand if the person who is the speaker in that video, are you able to understand or not. If not, then you can switch to another speak trainer for that.
That's true. Yeah, yeah. I think that's really good advice. We, yeah, I think in the United States we take that for granted. We don't really get a question like that because it's
Right.
almost all English. But we do have some foreigners that do come, and that's a question I'd never asked. Like, what language are you most comfortable learning for? I didn't even think of that. That's a really good question. Well, so
So
go ahead.
go on. No, no, it's okay.
Well, I'm gonna go into my next question, so you go ahead.
So I was just adding to for the regional language.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one of the thing which I learned while doing meetups. That sometimes when the speakers are coming on the platform, so I push a lot of first time speakers. I am like uh, I'm that kind of person that it's fine if you're a first time speaker. If you are really passionate, I will help you in whatever the possible ways. And I always tell them that, see, if you're not comfortable in giving session in English, it's fine. Give in your native language, we are absolutely fine with that. And I have seen in my experience while conducting such meetups, when the speakers move to their native language, and that kind of meetup becomes very successful, very interactive. And when I'm saying successful, it means a lot of interaction is happening in such kind of meetups. So I always promote that whenever you get the chance, do the meetups in your native language.
Okay, I like that. I like that. I really like that. So a lot of developers aren't getting jobs. It can be very saturated at that entry level. Uh, why do you feel like a lot of developers aren't getting jobs? Why do you feel like a lot of developers feel like they should be getting jobs and just are falling short?
So I would say the problem is in India. Basically, there is a gap. What we learn during our colleges, during our degree, and what industry is expecting, there is a huge gap. And the good thing is nowadays students are trying to fill that gap, but still they are not 100% ready for that. When the companies are hiring, they don't expect a person to be a all rounder. The expectation from the entry level developers is always that they should know their basics well. And I think there our aspiring developers get trapped. They assume that they need to know everything about every technology, which is not true. They should be focusing on the basics, and once their basics are good, solid enough, then they should have. The second thing is communication skills. I have seen a lot of developers don't have the confidence, communication. They have very good in coding, but they can't hold the conversation. And I keep taking interviews, and I have seen that obviously they are not going to ask you to talk about any topic for like a debate kind of thing. It is
Mm-hmm.
just you need to give introduction and explain the kind of the work you have done. So these are the two places where I have seen they are not they actually shortfall of. The first is they assume that they need to be a master of everything. Look, just have your basics right, that would do the job. Your GitHub should speak about yourself, not about the kind of courses you have done, please.
Mm-hmm.
And the third thing is you should be able to do the communication well, and confidence should be there.
I think soft skills are very underestimated. I
Yep.
think you really honed in on that. I, you, you know, I, I would say probably about 20% of the people that show up to my meetup probably have the technical skills to get that position. And it really, like, there's so many other components. It really comes down to the resume, the cover letter. Like, are they personalizing it? Does it have anything to do to show the value that you're bringing to the specific company? Um, the interview, how's that go? Like a lot of people want to be right in every single question, and they forget like what that interview's about. It's to give exposure of who you are as a person, as a developer, but like have fun with the interviewer. If you're just like sitting there all clammed up and you're not really talking with the interviewer, I almost feel like you you need to go into it with the just like have fun with it. But I think a lot of interviewers are looking like, do I want to work with this person? Do I,
Exactly.
and if you can't answer that question with confidence that they would want to work with you, like everyone can be the best version of themselves. You just might have to work on some habits that you bring into the interview. And sometimes it even is just like getting over that nervousness. Like, okay, I'm gonna go into this first interview. I'm really excited, but chances are you're probably going to fail it if it's your very first interview, and you're going to learn a lot from it, right? Hey, maybe you get the position, that's awesome, but kind of go into it with just having fun, learning about the industry, talking with the interviewer, and just learning something new. And I do think the soft skills and that kind of perspective is very lost with people.
So I will tell you that when I become manager
Mm-hmm.
and I was supposed to hire for my team, so I was very scared because before that I used to just give a technical feedback, just that this person is good or not technical, and then my seniors used to do the attitude and the soft skill testing, interviews and all. But now everything was on me. So my manager and my director, they told me, technical skill is something you can teach anyone, but the attitude, but the confidence, this is something which a person brings by himself or herself. So you need to look for that first, but that doesn't mean you need to compromise on technical skill. But if a person is very good in attitude, soft skills, communication skills, then please try to have that person on the team. And culture, the question you just said, that do I can I should sorry uh, do I want to work with that developer, this is actually the last question every interviewer is gonna ask to himself or herself. And the answer of that is, if the person is very good in doing the communication during the interview, and the confidence and the vibe that person is bringing. Sadly, I have seen developers who are very good technically, but they can't hold the conversation. And then on other hand, there are people who are not as good as in technology, but they are very good in having the fun in the interview, able to put their, basically to do a healthy discussion,
Mm-hmm.
and that speaks a lot about that person attitude.
Yeah, yeah. I'm so glad that you got the opportunity to be able to like really be able to see all that, get past just the technical, and you're also looking for the soft skills. You're also looking for the communication. That's a really important position to be in. I'm glad you got to experience that. That's amazing. I, attitude is just it's so important, but it's very hard to teach. A lot of people
Right.
bring their past with them. They bring even just their past experiences with last jobs with them. They bring baggage with them, and I think technical skills are easier to teach, and you can learn them a lot quicker than you can of getting rid of old bad habits. Like that takes a lot longer, and really like you can do that in college. I see this is where like I don't think you need a computer science degree to get a position as a developer. I think it helps, but you don't need it. And I think what you really can learn, even in a boot camp in a college, is just like working with others on a team and being able to be open to feedback and not take things personal and like really take code reviews constructive and just be able to communicate. I like you can build all of these habits up before you even start like really working on your portfolio and diving deep into a specific language. But you're right. Attitude is so incredibly important. I wish more people would
Yep.
really understand that and like take ownership of it.
Yeah, definitely. So every manager who is hiring a team, they always look for, if a new person is onboarding the team, the culture should remain as it is. In fact, it should go more positive if a new person is coming. So whenever this is what I have seen, that whenever a new person is joining the team, it is always about, is that person is able to understand our culture or not, is that person is able to fit in our culture and all. That's why now I am able to understand why in every job description it is mentioned that the person should be a team player and the person should able to culturally fit in the organization. Initially I used to, when I was a mid or senior level of developer, I used to say these things are just there. But now when I move to manager level, now I'm handling the team, now I understand that how crucial these things are.
Yeah, yeah, I can hear it in your voice. I think you gave really good advice with that. You know, we're in a really weird time right now, right? So COVID
Right.
19 is spreading. It's unfortunate, and I think we get a lot of doom and gloom in the news, and there are a lot of things that we should be doing to kind of prevent the spread of the virus. But I want to focus on the positives of what we still can do, right? As developers, first of all, companies are still hiring, right? A lot
Right.
of companies are still hiring. They're more open to remote positions, and you know, at the end of the day, those remote positions can turn into in person once we beat this. So, um, like, there's still like I feel like I still want to see people moving forward with development and learning and growing because they can. That opportunity is there, but it's different, right? It looks a little bit different right now. So I kind of want to dive into that. So when people are asking, like, when we get into the topic of networking, how do I get my face out there, how do I meet the right people, meetups were a really good option for that in person. They were fantastic. And reaching out on LinkedIn, even just being willing to buy coffee for someone at the company that you really want to work for, just getting a little feel for it, and then if that person really liked your personality, that they can kind of start like filtering out a cultural fit just during that conversation a little bit. So it was pretty valuable meeting with someone, and now we can't really do that. So what I still think networking is powerful even in these
Right.
times. How can we go about, like, let's talk about like online networking and what that looks like. How do you feel like, or what do you feel like developers can be doing right now to like still build up their network and connect with the right people when they're trying to get that first position?
Okay, so the good thing what happened is, though it's whatever is happening in around us because of COVID, it's very unfortunate. But as you mentioned, everyone went remote. Now everyone is open their calendar to have the discussion with fellow developers. So I have seen that so many senior folks open up their calendars that anyone who wants to, just have a conversation, or just they just want to talk about anything, they just come and just hang out. So please utilize that opportunity. If I talk about me, I'm at a very senior position, still I'm doing that. So what I'm doing is, whenever I see a message that any person who open their calendar, I try to reach and book my time with them. It's not necessary I'm just talking about technical stuff. I just talk about anything. So for example, if I'm meeting you, I will be just talking about states, what you are doing, how you are doing, what are your hobbies and all. So this is how you start building the relationships. It's not always about talking about your domain. Sometimes relationships also start with off topics also. So the first thing is, please utilize that. Twitter, LinkedIn, people are all over, so do that. Second thing is, I have seen this because I am also doing a lot of online session. People hesitant in turning on their camera. I am also kind of that person because we are relaxing at home, so we can sit in our PJs and just work. But it is very good if you are trying to have a conversation with someone, turn on your camera. That start building a relationship, and that talks a lot about. So if a aspiring developer is reaching to me, just to say hi, hello, and have an initial conversation, if that person is turning on the camera, for me it would be like, yeah, that person is so positive. He or she really wanted to have this whole conversation to be feel like an in-person conversation. So please do that also. And right now everyone is at home, so this is the right time to finish your small side project. But having said that, I'm that kind of person that who always say that work is work, but you need to enjoy and relax your personal life. So that doesn't mean you have 24/7 in front of your laptop or system. Take a break, build some other hobby, and start publishing that on your social network. People will start coming to you by yourself.
I like that. I really like that. And yeah, I think there's a sense of feeling trapped, but sometimes that's just, I think to get over that feeling, it's just doing something different, taking a break from what you're doing, even if it's just like getting up, maybe heck, you could take a hobby as cooking. You can, but like doing
Right.
something different and shifting that mindset just to give your mind a break. I think that's really healthy. But that, I didn't realize so many people were open to having those conversations due to the COVID-19. That's really cool to hear.
Yeah, I actually did so far 4 sessions with different people in last 3 weeks. So 30 minute session for 4 to 5 people. I'm able to do it. I didn't knew them before. I
Hmm.
just saw that they opened their calendar, and I just on the Twitter somehow I stumbled on their profile. I just followed them. I blocked their calendar, and this is how I'm also doing the same thing. I also open my 40 minutes every weekend to just have and discuss about anything.
I like that. And a lot of people, I noticed on Meetup specifically, a lot of people are doing that. A lot of people are just, first of all, Meetup's very supportive of online events right
Right.
now, which is really cool. Uh,
Yes.
but Meetup is like a lot of Meetups are still hosting. They're still, but it's just remote. And
Mhm.
um, there are some challenges with trying to have the same type of Meetup in person as you do remote, but they are happening, and they're they're very open and supportive of developers still growing in this time, and I think that's amazing. So I would encourage, like, even just from your advice, I didn't realize so many senior developers were really open to that. Maybe just like reach out and have that conversation. I really like the advice of turn on your camera, right? Like you can still try to make it seem personable like it would be
Right.
in person, and it shows a little bit of commitment and seriousness, and showing that like you want it to be a good experience for the other person and you value their time, and that's a really good message.
So we always say in our meetings, so we have few remote developers join. So we always say that if you, whenever someone open their camera, we were like, oh, finally we have a face to this name. So far we were just looking at a name only.
I know.
So same thing goes for this digital world. Like you and I connected one first time. I didn't turn on my camera. Then I think I don't know when I turned on my camera. And now we are sitting. So we are at least able to. You are now able to associate my face with my name. So these things are very important. Small things, but very important.
Yes, I completely agree, and it does. It really does make a big difference. Uh, so honestly, like you've been fantastic. I couldn't find a piece of advice that I disagreed with yet. Like you actually have really good advice. Your experience shows. I mean, you've definitely grown a lot over the past few years since I've talked to you, and it's fantastic. I think what you're doing is really good for a lot of people. So what I want to do, and don't feel any pressure, but I want to, if you, because this was a lot of me asking you questions, I want to give you the opportunity. Do you have any questions for me? You don't need to have any, but I just want to give you that opportunity.
Yes, but I do have. So I
Perfect.
wanted to understand. Yeah. So I wanted to understand your experience. What
Sure.
I was doing offline, you were doing online. You
Yes.
have built your whole channel, whole community online. And I remember when I reached you, you were at that time helping developers online. That if someone wants me to review their code, their projects, let me know. I will do it. You open your own calendar at that time. I remember when I reached you. So, how was your experience? What were your challenges? Uh, and what keep you motivated to, keep doing all these things?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So, I'm a big believer in you do have to get that first position. And I think your initial push for becoming a developer is to learn the technical skills, get your portfolio ready, network a little bit, and get that first position. Now, what I found was if I only do development and I just go to
Hmm.
work and I code, I get burned out of coding. And I thought I needed a break when I did that. But when I tried, okay, after I get home, I'm going to work on my own project. I'm going to help people in my own way. When I started doing things that were outside of work, that were different, I'm a person that like I feel good when I give back. It's a good feeling
Okay.
I get. I don't know how to explain it, but if I'm not doing that, I don't feel good about what I'm doing. So
Mm.
I actually have to put more hours outside of work to do these online projects, to do, that's why I started the Meetup in Chicago. It's why I do live streams, I do live coding streams, I do Q&As. That's where it doesn't feel like work to me. I
Mm.
absolutely love doing that because, and when I did that, so when I did 40 hours of work and 20 hours of online stuff, I wasn't burned out. It was really weird. I had to put more time into it for me not to be burned out. So that's why I do all of the online things that I do. I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I started a web hosting company when I was 18. It was a long time ago. Uh,
Wow.
like, I just like creating ideas and getting them out there and providing value to others. I like idea all the way to, getting it launched. I love the whole product life cycle. And um, I get to control that when I create the events online. Because when you're working for an employer, it needs to meet the business objectives. Your values got to align, and you have limitations on the autonomy of what you can create, what you can do, and what you push out there. So, my online presence is me doing what I wasn't able to do at my development positions, and it's gone really, really well. I've learned a lot over the years, and online is a different thing entirely. I'm someone that is very vocal, and I just don't sugarcoat things. And when I say that, I get a lot of support, but I had to learn very quickly that there are just trolls and comments that aren't constructive that
Mm.
I got to push past. And so that honestly is probably one of my challenges, is because I am so vocal when I really believe and I'm passionate about something. I'm going to get, sometimes pushback is really constructive, but the internet is also full of trolls and people that just, want to argue. So that's a challenge that comes with that territory, but I've done it through Twitch, Meetup, YouTube. This podcast is something I'm starting. I don't think I'm much of a writer. I don't think I'm going to write a blog. That's just me. But I love recording, and I like just raw conversation. That's fun for me. But yeah, that's pretty much kind of where my online presence stems from.
Uh, so I can connect with you on because you are passionate about this and you are
Mm-hmm.
not feeling burnout. Even you are putting so much effort. Same with me. So people keep telling me that when you get time, how you get time, you keep doing so many things, and I'm like, I don't know. I just enjoy it. And when you love something, you will never feel that, oh, you are burnout, or I'm not doing this and all that. That's true. And actually, my follow-up question
Mm-hmm.
was about trolls only. That because that you perfectly mentioned that when you are too vocal, when you are putting yourself out on the social media, you will be getting a lot of hate comments and
Mm-hmm.
everything. How you handle that? In past, I had a lot of such hate comments. Not a lot of, but yes, there was pushback. Some I would not lie, but because of female in tech, people do have that image that female can't do some can't do tech and all that things.
Yeah.
But how initially it was for me was very hard, very
Mm-hmm.
hard. uh, I have my own way of handling those things, but I want to understand from you that how you handle such like very hard hate comments and trolls coming to your way.
Yeah, that is a hard thing to handle. It's something I'm still honing in on and trying to improve, because I know, like, so just to give you context, I quit my development position to do this full time, to really push my
Oh.
business, work on my own projects, get a pricing model out, and push those out and continue helping developers. This is what I'm doing. So I had, like, going into this, I was like, one of my very first thoughts is, as I grow, I'm gonna get a lot more hate. I'm gonna get a lot more
Hmm.
trolls. How am I gonna deal with this? So one thing that I used to, first of all, I still kind of take it personally. So it's still something I'm battling, and I just have to work through those emotions sometimes. But one thing that's really helped me is, what I used to do was I would think about how I'm going to respond, and I would think about how I'm going to react, if I'm going to react. And so it was more of me like, when it happens, let's deal with it. And what ended up happening was, when it would happen, I would deal with it, but I would get so stressed. I would feel like, I would let a comment ruin the rest of my day. and
Hmm.
I would feel like obliged to respond or block the person, and like my action wasn't as concerning as my emotion for it, right? Like for the fact that I let someone that I don't even know affect my entire day was ridiculous to me. And
Right.
so then what I started doing was I got to be proactive about this. I like it's all about perspective. When I see that message, it's all about, how do I see life? How do I see problems that come up in life, and how do I deal with them? But it starts with having like a really positive perspective. So, I started like doing a lot more cardio and meditating and like really getting my mindset into a more grounded mindset. And
Hmm.
I think when I did that, then I would see one of those comments and it wouldn't affect me. Like it wouldn't ruin my whole day. And then I could actually logically think about, okay, should I respond to this? How am I going to respond to this? But as I was thinking about it, that emotion was no longer attached. And that's what got me through it. It was being proactive and like getting a more grounded, calm mindset to things. That's how I learned to deal with it. How about you?
So same experience initially when I was getting like a lot of hate comments, trolls when I started Meetup, and whenever I was doing something, there were moments when people were coming on my Meetup and on the face they were telling that they are just coming to see how a female can do a tick Meetup. So at I never heard these things before, so I was totally blank, zone out. That okay, what should I? How should I react? I don't know. And only when I started doing Meetup, then a lot of people realized me, and then only I was able to understand that yes, there is a very big problem in tech industry with female developers.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, I never felt that, or might be I never realized that because I was too much in my job, and I don't know. Uh, it hurted me a lot. There were moments when I wanted to quit because I was not expecting anything from anyone who is coming to my meetup. I was not even charging them anything. But in return, if the people were giving so much hate, I was like, what?
Right.
Okay, I don't want to do it. Then, luckily, how I changed my perspective is my friends they told me that if they don't like coming to your meetup, if they are not liking your emails, they can simply, block you. Why you are, wasting your time, energy on such people? You are doing it for yourself. If you are enjoying, then it's fine. And then I changed my perspective. I then started focusing only on the people who are gaining a profit, gaining something out of me
Mm-hmm.
and from my blogs, my meetups, and all. And the people who are not liking them, I'm like, okay, fine, it's okay. There are hundreds of other speakers, meetups. You can just go there. It's fine. I don't, it's okay. Now the same thing I'm doing what you are doing, minus cardio. So whenever any comment or something is coming, I don't react at all. I don't even bother to reply to that comment
Mm-hmm.
because my simple thing is I never asked you to come here.
Mm-hmm.
You came by your choice, and now if I didn't even ask you for any money or something, I so it's you don't have any right to comment me. If you wanted to give me a constructive feedback, I am very happily gonna sit and discuss with you. But if you are straightforwardly gonna say something very rude, sorry, I'm not up for that. So
Yeah.
I don't now. I don't even react. I don't even read such thing. But to be very honest, it's very hard.
Right. Yeah.
It's very hard. Like what you are doing, I keep seeing you. I have seen other people who are just putting a lot of good content out and helping developers. But in return, if people are not respecting that, it's very hard.
It is. Yeah, yeah. It's never. We're humans. We're always going to feel emotion. We can never escape that, and that's true. I think you had a really good mindset of like you should be focused on helping people that want your help, right? You can't help everyone. There are going to
Exactly.
be people that like quite frankly, and I think it's disgusting, but that don't respect you because you're a female in tech, and that is a reality, and I think it's a really crappy reality. But some people are very ignorant. And so you only have so much energy in a day. Do you waste your energy on someone that isn't showing you that respect? I think,
Good point.
and but yeah, I can't speak to what it's like to be a female in tech, obviously. But we do have a lot of women that do come to our meetup, and I hear about this quite a bit. But like you, it sounds like the positions that you've been in, the culture, it was positive. It was constructive towards females, and I think that's really key. Even like there are going to be a lot of women going into tech that might face that sort of discrimination, and you know, it's easy for me to say this. It's harder to do, but really, you have to learn to just say no to a company if you feel like they're not going to be open to a female in tech. If they are very old in their times and they haven't really like they're just ignorant. I think there are a lot of brilliant women out there that have the skills and they just need to find and there are tons of companies. They just need to make sure that the company is a good fit for them as well. Like they have a lot of value to bring. But yeah, let's even just getting off of females being disrespected in tech. Some people just, quite frankly, developers can be kind of quirky and a little antisocial sometimes. We're behind computers all day. We're not necessarily in front of people, so we're going to get a lot of weird comments. We're going to get a lot of antisocial behavior, and some that's disrespectful, some that can be worked on. But at the end of the day, like, this is how I see it. You only have so much energy. Put it towards the people that you can help. If you're spending an entire day, trying to really get someone to come around and be respectful in an interview, and like you spend an entire day trying to change that person when you could you could help five other people that are almost there, that are listening to you, that are open to feedback. Sometimes you have to decide, like, who do you need to put your time into? You need to put your time into people that care what you have to say, that you can impact, because we can't change everyone. We can't impact everyone, right? Some people, they just need to take the longer road and figure that out for themselves, and put the energy towards the people that are ready for your feedback. it's
Right.
it's a weird
Absolutely.
it's a weird spot to be in, for sure.
Yeah, it is, but we are still here, so I think that's speaking a lot about our attitude.
Yes. Absolutely, I completely agree. Honestly, I loved all of your answers. Like I said, I don't have anything to disagree with. I wish I would have found something to disagree with that could have, but honestly, I think what you're doing is really good. Uh, Guys and women, if you haven't already, check out JSLovers on Meetup. It's a very large meetup, and what they've turned it into, they're helping a lot of people. So uh, check out her meetup. It's fantastic. Even just the content she's producing, I like, people are really loving it. You can see from all the responses. So definitely check it out when you get a chance. But Neha, I just want to say thanks so much for coming on to the podcast. I really appreciate you coming on, and it was a really fun conversation.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I also enjoyed it. Thank you.